Hey everyone, Bill here. I was very lucky and I was invited to hang out with the devs from Unit 2 Games along with other content creators and people from Google, and we all kind of hung out together and played some of the games that are included in the game Crayta. Now, if you don't know what Crayta is, it is a multiplayer game creation toolkit where you can also play games that other players make, which is really, really awesome. But I have to say that what I saw in those 2 hours very much impressed me, and I think that Crayta is going to be huge. All right, so what is this video? This video is about the creation side. If you want to see what the games play like, there's a link in the description down below that you can check out. But this one is all about what is the UI like, what is the workflow like for making your own game, and I have to say it's incredibly impressive. And I felt like even somebody who is as inexperienced as I am when it comes to game creation, I could kind of understand what was happening. So before we get started, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and click the bell, because that really does help the algorithm point people to more videos like this. And without any further ado, let's get started.
So I think someone just sent us into the preview. So basically, this is, as I said, one of the starter games, so it just gives you some basic logic. And in this collection game, you can just pick up templates around the map, and then as the game runs, one will be active at a time, and it's the first one to collect it gets a point, as you can see on the scoreboard on the left. And whoever gets most points at the end is the winner. So very simple, and we're just on a blank slate for now. But it's a really good place for people to start creating their own game, or just an environment around this game if they wanted to. So let's go back to preview. Now it's worth noting when you preview actually that it takes everyone in at the same time so that you can all test a game together when you're collaborating. But there is a toggle so you can make it only take you into a separate server by yourself. So actually everyone can carry on editing their game, and you just go and preview the current state, and you can sort of reload any changes that your team are making. We're all currently in basic mode. So this is where you run around as your character, and the controls should be quite familiar to users of Minecraft or something. So this is the same character that you take with you through all the games, and you take it into the editor as well. And you can still do all your usual emotes and things. Just so everyone knows, I'm the one in the orange top with the crazy red hair. So to get started in basic mode, you open up the library with the Y button. Sorry, were you both on controller?
I'm switching to keyboard right now.
Okay, cool. Alex, what's your input
Yeah,
method?
I'm on keyboard. I'm fine.
Cool. I'll go with keyboard then. So if you press L, that'll open up your library in basic mode. And that first tab there displays all of the different voxel materials you can have. So if you want to just click a few of those, and it equips them to your hotbar. And then you'll see we're now in sort of the most simple of our editing mode. So we've just got a voxel equipped on our cursor now. And when you run around, you can place this. So this is very familiar to any Minecraft users. But then there's actually a variety of voxel tools that you can do from basic mode. So this is just a simple placement. But if you press comma, that will toggle your voxel tool, as you'll see above the prompts on the left-hand side. So you can actually toggle then to fill. So I'm going to fill the whole map with honeycomb.
Nice.
Feel free to fill it with whatever you guys have equipped as well. Then the next tool we got is Extrude. So nice. Running through fields of wheat. Cool, so if you go to the Extrude tool, then that essentially highlights voxel faces for you, and you can start dragging those out. Beware that if you drag the floor, that's going to just sort of bump us all upwards. And then the next tool we have is the Grow in a Road tool, which is a really nice one. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to fill the terrain in something that we can see a bit easier.
Sorry.
That's all right. There we go. We've got ice now. So then with the Grow in a Road tools, if you hold left mouse button, you can essentially grow terrain. So this allows you to sculpt more sort of natural terrains really quickly and easily. And right mouse button will erode that, which is quite nice for doing things like caves or sort of broken up buildings or whatever you want. So they're quite a handy set of tools there. And if you want to augment your world with a few of our props, you can open up the library again and you'll see there's various other tabs up there. So that was L for the library. And then you'll see there's the meshes tab. So you can equip all sorts of meshes here. I think there's more than 700, and these are pre-provided assets by us, and this list will be ever expanding as we go on.
Do players make those things as well?
So we currently don't have a pipeline for asset import, but it's very much on our roadmap to allow that so that players can import whatever meshes they want and share them with other creators. But at the moment, we're sort of trying to provide a very broad set of assets that anyone can use. So I'm going to equip some weird things like a bench and a cactus, because that's obviously what this world needs.
Bench is weird.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't really work with a snowy environment. Oh, someone's started making a cave. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then you'll see there's other things from the library that we can equip. So there's effects and sounds and so on. And there's also templates. So if either of you have used something like Unity before, you might be familiar with prefabs. But templates are essentially a collection of assets, so they can be meshes, voxels, scripts, and so on, that you bundle up into this object called a template, and you can stamp down templates as much as you want. So a template could be like the coin pickups we got, or it could be a whole house, or it could be a lamppost, for example. So that's a really handy way of building things quickly. Now, aside from the tabs we've got here in the library, you'll see at the top, if you've got the library open, there's also a community page. And this is actually a list of packages that other users have created. So in Crayta, we want to encourage users to not only create games, but also just to create assets that other people can use in their games. So, for example, I could have made, let's say, a door that opens and closes, and I think that's really useful, and other people might like to do that without having to do their own coding. So I could turn that into a template, and then I could put it in a package and publish that to the community tab. And essentially this is a place where all of those published things will go, and anyone can download them into their games then. So for an example, I'm going to download the door package that I can see there, which happens to be the one I talked about, opening and closing a door. And then that door has appeared in my templates tab in the library. So where's it gone? Can I use my filter? Door. Oh, it's a game round door is what it's called. So we should all have that in our libraries now, and you can see we can just stamp that down, and it includes a couple of things like a script on it, which allows it to open and close.
Where do we see the door that you just installed?
So if you come over to the orange character, I don't know where you guys have gone now. You probably run off or flown away in your drones. It's sort of around the middle near the cave. So I've just stamped down that door, but as it's a template, I can stamp down as many as I like.
But then how do we get... So I went into L, and is that now under meshes?
So that's now under templates. So a template being a collection of assets. So this is a door with a script attached to it. And I think it's called Game Round Door. So if you search for that in the filter.
Oh, okay. Is there a way to make it so that it's like a list so you can see the whole thing? Because it just says, on mine it just says Game Round ... So that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it is in basic mode, but in a second we'll get to advanced mode, and you can change the library view there. But that's for sort of like more confident users and has slightly more complexity built into it. So you'll see from basic mode, someone's stacking up the doors there. From basic mode, if you run up to this bottom door here, you can press E to interact with it. And that will equip your drone if you haven't already. And the drone is sort of the personification of a more advanced editing that you can do. And your drone is also customizable. So there's various different drones in the customize tab that you can cycle through. So for this bottom door here, if you've interacted with it, whoa, someone's moving it. You'll see that it comes with this door script. And what we can actually do is it's got a few events on it. So on the right, you'll see things like on interact, on destroy, on collision. So I'm going to add an event to on interact. And it's going to select the game round door, which I think is game round door 1. It's found that the door script is the only script on it. And then I'll choose the set opening event. So that will open the door as soon as someone goes and interacts with it once we play the game. So that's a way that a basic user can be in basic mode, not have to do any coding, and it's essentially quite just drag and drop using drop-down lists to be able to set up their own game logic based on what other people have made for them.
That was really cool because I was looking at the same door that you were, and I had hit E, and I was watching you add all of those things on my screen too.
Mm-hmm. So everything about the editing experience in Crayta is completely collaborative, and that even comes down to the code editor, which we'll see in a little bit when we get into advanced mode. So any changes that I make, everyone will see in real time. And that's not just limited to the building. So if we go back into our characters now, just one more bit to show you in basic mode. If you double tap space, then you actually take over your drone. So you're still in basic mode, still with the same sort of controls, but it gives you the option to fly around. You can hold space to go upwards or C, the crouch button, to go down. But you still got the same controls. So it just sort of gives you a bit more flexibility of movement there. So I think that covers basic mode. The next part of the game is to switch into advanced mode, which is where we open up a little bit more power for those users that are feeling a bit more confident. So to access advanced mode, you generally have to be on keyboard and mouse for this side because it involves keyboard actions, things like coding and so on. So press the tab key to switch to advanced mode. And then you'll see all of your editor UI appear. So on the left-hand side, we've still got the same library that we had before, and you can go through the different tabs. So you can go back to voxels, and there's actually a few more voxel tools here. So there's things like a shape tool up at the top left. So I've got these mossy bricks equipped, and I can make a big old shape with them. I've made a cube and a cone, my best creation yet. And then obviously next to that, you've still got the community tab. If you go to the library, actually, if you see down the bottom right of the library tab, there's the switch to list view button, which I think was what you were asking about.
Oh, okay, yep.
So that just makes it a little bit more readable.
Gotcha.
If the names are running off. So that's just down to personal preference, really, or depending on which part of the library you're on. So then over on our right-hand side, we've got our world tree. So have you guys used Unity or Unreal engines before, or Roblox?
Not me.
Okay. So this might be a slightly unfamiliar concept, but essentially this is the hierarchy, the list of everything that exists in this world. So you'll see we've got our terrain, which is the root of everything. And then below that, if you open it out, if it's not expanded already with the little arrow, you can see all of the things we've been placing down, just all sorts of random things. And this is where you can reorganize the world, so you can group objects together. So for example, I can grab all the cacti and I can just move them all around at the same time. And you guys can probably see all the cacti moving there.
Oh, cool.
Someone's spinning the blimp. Is that you, Sean?
Yeah.
Of course. Cool. And then obviously if you select any of these, that's quite similar to being in basic mode and interacting with the entity. So then at the bottom of the world tree tab, you'll see the properties window. And from here, you can change the name, the position, rotation, and so on. And you can actually add scripts to it as well. So for example, I can take our blimp, which is called Lake Blimp ? And I can add a script to it. So if everyone wants to select the blimp, you'll see me add a script. And this is a script that came pre-provided. Or is it? No, it isn't. Okay, I'm going to grab the rotate and move script from the store, from the community tab. So if everyone's got the Lake Blimp selected, you'll see that I can just add a script to it now. Then you'll see down the bottom of there, it's going to do a 360 rotation every 5 seconds. I'm going to make that bounce. And then what I can actually do with some of the simpler scripts, so things like just movement or rotations and so on, higher up in the property window, I can tick simulate, and then you'll actually see that script take effect. So if you look at the blimp now, that's just doing its little rotation that I've set up on the script there.
You can edit things live, can't you?
Yep, so if I change that to 2 seconds, then you'll see it starts to spin faster. Cool. I'll just leave that going. Hopefully that blimp isn't too distracting for everybody. So then at the top right, we've got a couple of other tabs here. So we've got the world settings. So if you select the world settings tab, then under here we've got a few options which allow you to make really, really quick changes to the look and feel of your game. So you can do things like change the day length. So if I set the day length to 30 seconds and then we look around, we'll actually see the sun going down. So all these can be
cool.
previewed live in the editor. And now that really shows up all the disco walls, which I'm guessing was Sean.
Yeah. If you fly your drone off the side, you can see the sun underneath. Doing his
Cool, yes, so that comes back around. And the base terrain that we've got here, this sort of square, there's no need to keep it to that size. You can use the extrude tool to quite quickly expand it. So I've just taken it out sideways, but essentially with some of the simpler voxel maps, you can go really, really big. So if you guys have played, or if you get to play Huddle for Warmth, that's a good example of a really big map, which is just sort of one huge terrain. So then we've got a few other settings here. I'm going to turn off the day length because it's disorientating. We'll go to 5 p.m. is quite a nice time. You can see the sun there. So you can change the sun direction on this slider. You'll see all the shadows move around. Change the sky dome. So you can go for a couple of preset options, and we'll be expanding these presets as we go on. So I can change for something like rainy, which has these nice dynamic clouds above us. Then I can change the horizon. So let's go for
cool.
mountains and jungle. So now this is starting to feel a bit more like a real game if you don't look at the middle of the map.
Don't know what you mean, the middle of the map's amazing.
So then we've got various other options, overriding the sun, overriding the fog. Actually, I'll do the fog. Fog's quite a nice one. So if you adjust a few options there, you can quite quickly bring in some nice looking fog.
Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
Nintendo 64 all over again.
So then a couple of really cool options to quickly change the look and feel of your game are the color grading and the post-process. And feel free to play with all these settings as well. I'll see the changes in real time. So the color grading has some presets like Alien Planet or Sepia, which really quickly change how the game looks and feels. And I see one of you's just assigned tilt shift in the post-process.
Guilty.
So you see that sort of blurred the top and bottom, which is quite nice for making like a toy town type thing. Or any effect that you want in your game, really. I think I used it in a little battle royale demo I was doing. So if you're outside the safe zone, it gives you that sort of blurred effect, like your vision's blurring and you're taking damage. And then at the bottom of that, there's a couple of other options which are just general to your whole game. So a death plane there. So you can just enable or disable the death plane and choose how far down in the Z, so the vertical axis, the death plane is. So if someone falls out the world and reaches that point, then they'll respawn in the middle. And you've also got the default spawn there as well. Then the final tab is game settings, which are essentially the same as world settings, but persist across your whole game. So a game can be made up of multiple worlds. A good example of that was Cooking or Interception, where they had like a lobby world, and then when you go through a door or something, it takes you into... Nice.
I love it.
And then it takes you into a different world, so we can actually have like as many different worlds as we want in our game, and those can be levels and so on. So if you change game settings, then those are essentially the master settings, which will persist across all the different worlds in your game. And that looks like thermal now, which is quite a cool one for a predator vision.
So can you make it so that if I'm playing a game and I pick up a power-up, it gives me thermal vision, but not everybody else?
Yep. So I don't know how familiar you are with things like server and client.
I'm not familiar with anything at all.
Okay, cool. So that would be a good place where you could ask in Discord or something if someone had already made a package that would be suitable for that use, or if someone might want to help you out. But essentially, on an individual client, so just on my game, but not for everyone on the server, we can change the world settings as well. So we actually had a game that was like an infection game mode, and when you become the infected, like aliens or whatever they were, we actually changed all the world settings so they could see everything in like bright red, whereas everyone else was in the dark. So it made quite an interesting mechanic there. So yeah.
We don't like to encourage infection games at the minute, though, obviously.
So yeah, having the predator vision on like 1 or 2 players would be a really cool mechanic for something like that. I realize you guys might not be coders as such, but if you want to dive into code, this is probably a good opportunity to show you where that happens. So you can open scripts from the library. So if you go over to the library on the left again, and from the drop down, choose the scripts page, and you might want to go into list view for that as well. And then open up the door script. So that's the one that came with that door package that I just showed you. So double click to open that up.
Oh, cool.
So I guess that oh cool means you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
Cool. So Sean's down here as well. So I can be coding here and you can be observing, or we can both be coding together. So Sean's writing some comments for me down here. So this is, it gives a lot of options really for people of all sort of coding abilities. So me and Russ use it a lot when we're creating games together. So we might be trying to check over each other's scripts to see where we might have introduced a bug, or we might be just writing a script together to make it faster. But also, for example, if Sean needed help with his coding, then I can see what he's written down here, and I can go and put comments in to make suggestions about change this, Sean, it's bad, things like that. So I can help sort of a more novice coder as well here. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, so you can put in little promotions there to everyone who's coding with you as well. Cool. So yeah, if you guys aren't competent coders, I mean, that might not be such a problem. If you're on a collaborative project, you could have someone coding and you could be doing the environment building, or you could be level designing, things like that.
So there we go. We've now seen what it's like to create a game in Crayta. Here's my question to you. What kind of game are you going to make in Crayta? Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let us know what ideas you have, and make sure that you join our Discord, because maybe you can find people to help you make that game in our Discord. We do have a Crayta section in our Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, there's a link in the description down below, or you can just go to runjumpstomp.com/Discord. Before I get out of here, make sure that you like, subscribe, all that stuff. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.